real business owners.
Welcome back to the Real Business Owners Podcast. This is episode 81. As always, with myself, Trevor Cowley, Kel Goodman.
What's up? What's up?
Today we've got a guest for you. He's an all right guy. You know, he's definitely he's grown on us over the last couple of years for sure. Guys, today we have an individual. He is a payment processor. He owns a company called Certain Pay, as well as another company called Rate Tracker. Because if you know anything about merchant accounts, they love to bump your rates up without you even knowing about it. Mm-hmm. And that's a big issue in the industry, and that's an issue that he wanted to solve. So everybody, welcome Adam Niec to the podcast. Welcome, bro.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys. I'm excited to be here.
We're excited to have you, man.
This place is awesome, man.
You know what I remember, dude? I first met you. I'd seen you in the groups on our private Facebook pages and stuff. But then when I met you at that first Stuman's Live event that we sponsored.
$1 Million Mastermind.
Yeah. So I mean, that was a great move for us to sponsor. We've met a lot of great people like you know. But dude, I remember after I met you and we connected a couple times, I was like, dude, that guy's gonna be because you're a young guy, and I was like, that guy's gonna be a great entrepreneur, right? Like he's gonna do some good shit, you know. So yeah, dude, I was impressed with you immediately. So your energy's awesome, and I'm glad that you're finally here, dude. This is a big area. We're gonna talk a lot about personal stuff, but the business stuff we're gonna talk about, it is a huge problem in many industries. Like people just don't. It's like accounting for us, you know. Like I don't want to deal with the accounting, so they never get educated on where they're really getting screwed. Like people are overpaying the IRS all the time, and then when we educate them a little bit, like, oh my gosh, I've been leaving so much money on the table. Same thing with payment processing. It's crazy how much people end up leaving on the table because they don't know what the hell they're doing, or the companies are doing to them. So it's going to be an awesome episode.
I mean,
I'm excited.
I think it's just because business owners are, again, they're just so in their day-to-day life and just operating their company. That they don't look at all the small, minute things. Like, you know, what can I do to have better accounting? What can I do to save more money on my merchanting? You know what? Like, those are all a bunch of little small things, but they definitely add up over the course of time, especially if you're doing a lot of revenue. You know, 1 point, if you're doing, you know, $1 million a year, you know, that's $10,000 a year on just 1% of your processing that's just going out the window because over the course of the last 2 years, they've slowly bumped it 1/4%. And then another 1/4%, and it's almost like boiling a frog. They don't know that it's even happening, and then next thing you know, their rates are extremely high. And when you're signing contracts to get a merchant account, nobody's reading that shit. Nobody's reading that shit.
Give me that ability to bring money in, you know?
They don't make it very easy for the regular person or a new entrepreneur, any entrepreneur to understand, right? It's all legal mumbo jumbo. Nobody gives a shit. They just want to get set up with a merchant account, sign, let's go.
Yeah, let's get paid.
I'm sure inside those agreements it states that the rate can change at any given time and that the processor has the ability to control that rate and probably not even have to notify you that there's some changes, right? And so you're signing that right over, right, when you're signing the merchant account applications and getting your mids and everything set up to start processing as a business.
Not only that, but the funnest parts of business, right, there are like closing the deal. And just like we all want to close deals, and that's the fun part, that's what kind of drives us, that's where we get our thrill, you know? It's the same thing with guys that sell payment processing. And dude, they want to sell you the shit you don't really need because it's a bigger commission for them. Just like life insurance salesmen, just like car salesmen. Like, you want this warranty that has all these extra things because that's where my biggest commission is. And so, you know, a lot of people get sold what they don't need, you know? And then a lot of people also, because they don't have the right sales guy, get screwed over too. Like, should they be underwritten for high risk? Because like us talking about today, a credit repair business, that has to be underwritten for high risk because of the type of individuals we're dealing with. It doesn't mean that you're high risk because your business model is not great. It's just that's a high risk industry. And so if you don't have the proper merchanting, one, you can get shut down. You're going to pay sometimes enormous fees, like, so there's just a lot to actually really understand.
Yeah,
so,
for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
And you know,
enlighten them, dude.
The thing that you mentioned earlier, just about like, you know, you just want to get it set up and be able to take payments.
Yeah.
You heard the phone call I took today on the way from the gym, home from the gym.
Yeah.
Like one of our clients bought another convenience store. and he needs to get set up because he's using the previous owner's merchant ID,
accounts.
his bank. So like it's just, and so our team is working on the application on the back end to make sure that that guy gets set up. And obviously we're going to do the right thing by him, but a lot of people in the payments industry would see that as an opportunity to be like, all right, let's get this guy.
Yeah.
We're going to lock him in. And, that's like, I'd rather just have a lot of customers that we do the right thing for and build a referral base than like screwing the ones we have.
Yeah.
We don't need to do that.
play that game.
And that's not and that's not just
wrong.
lip service because he's been saying that for as long as I've known him.
Exactly.
He's like, dude, we're doing it different. We're doing it different.
Yeah.
And that's commendable, man,
Yeah.
because
It's very easy. Like, just to harp on that, it's really easy to lie because you look at your statement. You guys are smart, and I think we went over them. Like, there's 3 people that charge a fee on a credit card transaction. The bank that issued the card.
Yeah.
So like Chase Bank. Let's use Chase Bank as an example. Chase Bank, and they work with Visa on the back end. Visa charges a fee, right? And then the processor makes a percentage, a transaction fee, a monthly fee, or a combination thereof. And that's how they make their margin. Our average margin on merchant accounts is $180 a month. That's what we top line from all of our customers. Some we make $5 a month on because they don't really process much, and that's okay. And some we make thousands of dollars a month because they're doing cash discount or they just do a lot of volume. So it's there's that average that speaks for itself. And like $180 a month is profitable. It makes sense for the merchant. It makes sense for the salesperson. It makes sense for the referral partner, and everybody wins.
How far below do you think you are on the average of that? If you said the average processor makes $500 a month per client or $300 a month, and we only make $180 a month because of the way that we're structured, and the goal is obviously to serve more people at a less rate than less people at a higher rate, because you said I'd rather have 1 million people that I'm making $180 a month off of than 100,000 people that I'm trying to make $500 or $1,000 a month off of, right?
Yeah, that's a good question. I would say that it depends on industry type. So like lower risk accounts, restaurants, convenience stores, like there's minimal risk to the acquiring bank. So it's kind of like the
riskier the business, the more they can bake in margins.
Yeah, and they have to though, because it's like a bad driver, right? If you're a bad driver and
my insurance goes up.
Yeah, because it's so the guy that sells the insurance policy probably makes more money on that.
Yeah.
But the most of the money on the back end is kept by the policy holder. I don't know insurance, but same concept here. Like we have some clients that do high risk that. The bank that actually sends the money to the merchant, they get a cut of the profit as well. So that actually introduces a fourth person into the deal because they have to cover their ass in case there's chargebacks or fraud or whatever. So I would say, to answer your question, I don't really know where we stand on
the average
revenue per account, but it's
you're lower than most.
Yeah,
the idea is to. Just take care of people, I guess.
Yeah,
right?
It's not even to be lower. It's like, hey, let's get you a fair deal now, and then keep it there.
Right? And a lot of it
rather
too,
than like, hey, let us cut. Because, dude, that's how a lot of guys do it, right? They say, well, let me see your merchant statements. And they hound you and hound you and hound you because we've been through this.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, my gosh, dude, here's my statements. And then they come back and like, dude, we can save you $2,000 a month.
But I only paid $1,000.
Dude, actually, our partner, Jeremy, he gets excited about it. So he's like, dude, this guy can save us $2,000 a month at tailored pay or whatever. And I'm like, bro, okay, let's go look at it, And dude, all they're doing is beating what you are at right now, and then they inch it up over a year, and now you're paying $30,000 a month.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I'm like, dude, so now your $2,000 a month savings actually costing us $1,000 a month, and that happens all the time in this industry.
And that's the issue that like my partner Marshall Lowy and I see is that like I don't know where we stand on average revenue. I do know that we earn every dollar that we make, and we deliver value with our solutions. It's not just about like, hey, we can save you money, sign up with us. Like there's millions of reasons to change credit card processors, and the majority of the industry sells it on price, and the majority of the industry is working on that. We call it bait and switch, where hey, we can save you $2,000 a month, and then 6 months later, a year later, you're back to where you were, or even paying more. And that's actually what inspired Rate Tracker, because I was sick of losing deals to other processors because The
'Cause
merchant
they're trying to undercut just
Yeah.
initially,
Yeah.
and then they'll start baking in their profits down the road.
and two guys like you that are wildly successful in business, do you really want to spend your time changing merchant accounts and getting new
Oh, it's a
providers
pain
so
in
you
the-
can
it's a
save
pain
a
in the
couple
ass.
bucks? No,
Yeah.
nobody became a millionaire because they
Yeah.
saved money.
Yeah.
Right.
You become a millionaire because of the way you think and act.
Yeah.
So if you're spending time, which is all we have at the end of the day, to save a couple bucks or a couple pennies on each transaction, or half a point, what does that really matter to you? Like, wouldn't you rather just have something that's valuable, consistent, right? There's no increases or surprises,
Yeah.
and then people that actually serve you. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
That's what we focus on.
Yeah.
Well-
so rate tracker's a pretty cool concept, you guys. So Adam built this. It's basically to where you can connect it to your merchant account, right? And it's
Bank account.
Your
Yeah.
bank account. And rate tracker is tracking your rate. So all of a sudden you'll see a spike one month, right? And then you now are notified that there's a spike this month, and that means there's a spike in your rate. That means the merchant account company or the merchant processor started baking in some of those higher points that they were looking for when they originally said, hey, let's save you money. And then 3 or 4 months later, you're let's say you have it connected to rate tracker, and everything's steady for a couple months, 2 or 3 or 4 months, you see it flatlining, and then all of a sudden there's a spike.
Yeah.
That spike is meaning that your rate just went up. And so instead of sitting there trying to figure out how to read merchant account statements, because obviously those are confusing for a reason, to keep you confused so that you're not in the know.
Dude, remember when she doesn't work here anymore, but she would have to go through an audit, like a whole year's of our statements, to see what the increases were and where they were gouging us.
Yeah.
And so like having something like Rate Tracker is actually giving you the ability to have that automatically done month by month, so and then that way you don't have to like assign an accountant or a team member or something to it. They can be focused on other things. And so that's what I really like about it. When I saw you launch the concept and ask some people to beta test, I was like, hell yeah, dude, sign us up. I definitely want that, because dude, that ends up being a lot of money depending on the size of your company that could go towards hiring another team member or giving raises within your company.
More
or,
marketing,
whatever.
whatever.
More marketing and in areas of growth that you really, really, really need.
Yeah.
And so, dude, and it's crazy that actually hasn't been done yet, and here you are doing it, and it's just super cool.
Like, I'll never forget, it was like a little over a year ago. My buddy was over and he was showing me this app that he has that keeps track of his finances. It's called Truebill. And Truebill integrates with your bank accounts, your credit cards, and it like tells you everything. I have it, actually.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
it's a great budgeting tool.
Dude, it's awesome. Yeah. And I'm like, why doesn't that exist? Like, there's got to be something like that for. It's funny, he just texted me now.
Payment processing?
Yeah, like why doesn't something like that exist now for payments, right?
Yeah.
And
Why would somebody create it that's in the payment processing industry? Because then they would just be exposing their own increases.
Well,
so I think that's part of it. And if you're not in that game, you're not really thinking about how to improve that industry. You're in the industry and you're looking at the holes in the industry and you're trying to fill in those holes. You're trying to make it better, right? And so why would somebody that wants to increase your rate create an app called Rate Tracker? It would be working against yourself, because the idea would be to sign somebody up, get them set up on a merchant account, get them set up with Rate Tracker so that they can see their rate's going to stay the same and they can feel good, confident, and comfortable with who they're working with. And it's just complete transparency. If all the other companies aren't about transparency so that they can purposely raise the rate, what's the point of them helping the customer, because it's ultimately backdooring their profits, right?
Yeah, 100%.
And so they're not in the business of trying to serve the client. You're in the business with a different mindset. Yes, you're in the processing business, but you're in a business of serving people. And so you approach it from a different angle. And so how can I serve people and make sure that transparency and fairness is a part of our process? And so I think that's why your mind went down that route. Like, how can I show people that this is really happening? Because it might just sound like a sales presentation. If somebody called me and says, hey, they can increase your rates, I'm like, whatever, we're profitable. I'm not even worried about it. To me, it sounds like a sales pitch. Like you're just trying to come in and get the business. So you just say that that's what they're doing, but I don't even know how to read the statements. So I can't confirm or deny that that's even happening. And it's just easier for me to stay with what I currently have than seek out better, because it's the least path of resistance. And most people go down the easy path. The easy path is just continuing doing what you've always done. And so you have to have a different mind, a mind of serving, right? Coming from a place of transparency to want to create something like that so that people know that they're in good hands. And that's the whole point of why you wanted to create it, is just people need to know that they're in good hands. And when you can show them, look, at your rates have been spiking over the last few years, and they're going to feel it a little bit differently when they get that visual effect of a chart and watching those spikes, rather than you just telling me that my rate's probably gone up. Right?
Exactly.
It makes it a little bit more real, right? It's almost like seeing a P&L. If somebody thinks they're doing okay because they have money in the bank, but they actually looked at a P&L and they lost 10 grand last month, they're going to have a different sense of urgency that following month, rather than just continuing doing what they're doing because they still have some money in the bank, right? That's why it's important to have proper accounting and get monthly P&Ls so that you really do know where your business is at on a month-to-month basis. This month we made 20 grand, this month we made 15, or and then you can make better business decisions by having access to information. You're giving them access to information so that they can make better business decisions.
Yeah, and to speak to what you just said, so this graph here on my phone, right? This person, it's a graph that represents an actual pretty significant rate increase, right? It's this merchant. It's a restaurant in Columbus, Ohio, that was processing payments.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
So if you guys are watching on YouTube, you guys could see this the rate tracker and how it works. Right, it almost looks kind of like a stock portfolio or whatever when you're looking at it, and it shows the ups and downs, the graphs. Here's where their fees were, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, there's a huge spike in the fees. It looks like that the fees increased by freaking a million percent. Is what it looks like. But
so this is a mom and pop restaurant in Columbus, Ohio, that was hovering around like 2.3% out the door.
Yeah.
Right. So and they do like 60 grand a month roughly. And their previous processor increased their rate by like almost a full percent, right? So they were up to like 3.2-ish, right?
Yeah.
So now that's $600 a month.
Yeah, simply because
that's a lot of money each month for, for a small business owner or whatever, right? That's a car payment, right?
Yeah, high revenue, dude, for a restaurant isn't. I mean, it's. There's not a whole lot of margin though. There's not a whole lot of profit.
They average between like high-end restaurants are going to average like a anywhere from a 7 to 12% net margin at the end of the month. More volume, right? So they make more money. All the way up to the most I've ever seen is 25 or heard about. So like think about that. And credit card, it's a direct cost to the business. It's cost of doing business, whatever. So what it represents though is like this is a family business. This is a business that's not like it's not McDonald's, right?
Yeah.
This is a mom and pop shop that they bust their ass every day to put food on the table for their kids. They have employees, all that stuff. $600 a month, that's about $7,200 a year. That's a vacation. That's a private school tuition payment.
Well, imagine if they put that into a 401k for 10 years straight. That's $70,000 to $80,000 that they have it, and then over the 10 years, the money that 401k made, the interest that was made. I mean, in 10 years, that could be $200,000, $300,000 that individual lost. Again, depending on how they reallocate the money, right? Whether it is a vacation but I like looking at, if you're saving money, use the money that you're saving, continue the same lifestyle, and invest it somewhere else so that you can continue to grow, have your money make you money, right?
And so did you convert them after this fight?
Well, it's funny because of course, this is a friend of mine, right? I live in Cleveland, right? So about 2 hours away. This is a good friend of mine that he was not my customer, but he used the processor that I previously sold for, and I just asked him because we need to have in order
some
to
beta tests.
Yeah, it was a beta test over the summertime, so like in I think June. Let's see. The graph goes all the way to June, so it would have been July, sometime in July, because we had the data and the And I was like, hey, dude, like, can you help me? I'm launching this app, it's called Rate Tracker. He's like, what does it do? And I told him, like, oh, it's a free app that helps you understand and keep track of your credit card fees automatically. Oh, dude, I don't want to switch processors. I got a really good rate. And I said, listen, I don't care about processing your payments. I want to solve this problem, and we need to get your processor coded into the algorithm, right? And he's like, all right, cool. So he's had this processor with this bank account all the way until January of 2019.
Yeah.
Right. So we're able to see the trends over, instantly with visually like looking at it, and this increase in rates here represents about anywhere from, COVID slowed him down, so he did less sales, but probably like we estimate like 3 to 4 G's
Yeah.
in 6 months, and $3,000 to $4,000 in 6 months. He said, that's BS. Like, I don't want to use this company anymore. And how do I get set up with CertainPay? And I was like, oh my God, proof of concept. This
and
is
it's probably
awesome.
super easy, right? So that's the problem with us business owners, man, is we're like, I don't want to deal with that. I'm busy with all this other stuff. When really, you guys are leaving so much money on the table because you don't want to take 1 hour of your day to put together some statements, send it off. And I think that's why a lot of people go with like Square and Stripe, because they're like, oh, it's just easy, it's convenient. And once it's set up, they're like, cool, I'm done. When really it's probably just as convenient working with you guys. You can give them all the same tools, all the same stuff that
I would say it would probably be better working with them because at least they get a little bit more of a customer service approach. They're probably able to easily contact you guys with issues, and you're able to work through that with them rather than a big company like I'm trying to contact customer service at Stripe. Who knows where that's at? You know, might be in the Philippines or this or that. But
you know what though? Like Stripe, Square, and PayPal, they do such a great job with their target niche and their target client. Like we actually recommend Square to a lot of our clients that are just starting out. If they do less than $5,000 a month and they don't want to get a direct merchant account, dude, Square is a good solution. You'll pay 2.6%, 10 cents a transaction for card present, and 3.5% and 5 cents for over the phone. Or
so where
online.
do they start gouging people with those?
They don't really do it. Stripe, Square, and PayPal are not the ones that we're after. We're after local banks that, they white label credit card processing through, one of the major processors, and of course the major processors that do this, right? And so, like, for example,
do they get the same type of gouging from those processors even when they use like Stripe and Square and all those guys? Like, is there some middlemen in there that do it?
It's so like 95% of CertainPay's clients are somewhere between 2% and 3% out the door. So if they move $100K in a month, they're falling. 95% of our clients are falling between 2 and 3%.
Right.
High risk merchants and low volume merchants are, sometimes above 3, right? But it always makes sense on both sides of the transaction. We have a multi-location restaurant group that hovers right around, 1.8 because the types of cards that they accept, remember like Chase and Visa, lower cost, right? And we can earn a comfortable revenue on our side each month on their multiple locations that our margin for processing their payments plus all the bank fees and the card brand fees is like a little bit less than 2%, like 1.9 they usually come in. Right? Now, here's the thing though.
That's a good rate though.
Yeah, for sure.
It's
and like that's not possible for every business type because, for example, if you take payments online or over the phone, there's an extra 1/3, it's about a 1/3% surcharge to cover the potential liability of a card not present transaction. So that, like, without getting too far into the weeds, because I don't want to go into all the details, that's basically a way to hedge risk because it's a lot easier for me to steal your card and buy something online than it is to go somewhere physically use it, So, and that happens all the time, right? The industry's crazy. But you go back to this graph, the company that I used to sell for has like 300,000 merchants, roughly. Big company, they're huge.
Yeah.
When I started there 5 years ago, super honest company, like that's what attracted me to them, right?
Yeah.
And so I started out selling, right? It was great. I used to tell my customers, because this is what I was told, we're never going to raise your rates. We're never going to play those games. That company got acquired for multiple billions of dollars. And how do you make up for the multiple billions of dollars? You got to do something. Yep. And so one of the reasons why I left was, besides like knowing that I was being called for a greater purpose, like than just selling, was that I just didn't like morally align with it.
Didn't feel good with it.
Sure, I made more money.
Like you're having me say one thing, and now you're turning me into the liar.
So here's the thing, and this is what really makes me excited about Rate Tracker is like all of our clients can have it if they want. Right? Anyone can have it.
Yeah.
So if we're the company that's behind Rate Tracker, do you think that we're going to play games with people's rates and fees? It holds us accountable.
Yeah,
because we will eventually have 300,000 clients someday.
Yeah.
So if we wanted to raise our revenue if we put a $10 monthly fee on all of our clients and we had 300,000 of them, that would yield an additional $3 million a month in revenue.
Right. Yeah.
It's really easy to say like, all right, let's just slide that in there.
Yeah.
Like that's what these companies do. Some of them do. Some of them don't. It's like any industry. You have good players and bad players.
Of course.
This holds us accountable, and it's actually something that's it's concrete and it's there.
Yeah.
So I love it. I'm excited about that.
Yeah.
I love the
We're
concept,
excited
dude.
about
Rate
it, too, for
Tracker
you.
is game changer. I mean, even if they're not your client, they can get Rate Tracker for
Yeah.
free,
Yep.
just so they can start seeing.
Where would
and then
somebody get
obviously
it?
they're gonna hook up with you if they're like, dude, my guy is ripping me off. They're gonna come hook up with you. So it's brilliant on your end.
Yeah.
And it's a huge problem that just needs to be solved in that
Yeah.
industry, and you're the guy to do it.
Yeah. I'm
And that's
excited.
those are the type of business models that win, man.
So
when
how-
you can really solve a huge problem
That-
and expose it.
I was going to
dude,
say,
you're gonna-
expose the
yeah.
problem, because some people don't even know that it is
Exactly.
a problem, because that's the whole point, is keep you blind to the problem, so
Yeah.
you're focused on your business and not all the little minor things that are happening. You know, it's not like people are sitting there checking their bank statements line by
No.
line.
Nor do
you
they
know, on a
understand how
month-to-month to read a statement
Yeah.
in terms of the processing, right?
Yeah.
And the
It's
thing-
like, gets confusing as shit.
It is for sure, and it's by design. It's
You gotta
also
be Rain Man, or is that what the guy's name is? With all the digits running in his head, or that movie.
You know, the thing is, it's a confusing business both by default and by design, right? Like you could, I've looked at, you know, probably at least over a couple thousand merchant statements, and it's not always like as bad as we're making it out to seem, but like most of the time there's something that's like, wait a minute, what the hell is that? You know, because it's easy to slip it in there. It's,
Yeah.
even if
Yeah.
it's only like 30 cents a batch or
Yeah.
$5 a month, like that adds up, right?
Yeah.
And it's not even about the money, it's the principle behind it, right? So
Well, it's like this. I mean, if you took $1 from every human on the planet, it's not a whole lot
Be-
to that individual. But then now you got $8 billion, right? So that's exactly their mindset. How can we slip $1 in here or $5 here, and you start multiplying that by hundreds of thousands? You're making a lot of money each month
Yep.
just on those little teeny unnoticeable changes to the business owner.
yeah. And you know what? Most business owner, like credit card processing, you mentioned there's a guy that was hounding you about saving you money and switched to me, you know?
Yeah.
Like, dude, it's a very saturated industry
Oh, yeah,
because
totally.
because it's a lot of fun, it's residual money, and it's valuable, and there's a lot of money in it,
Yeah.
right? So, and plus you guys have desirable businesses to process payments for because you're successful, right?
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons. The other thing too is, you know, merchants see that and they're like, dude, you know what? I don't even want to look at it. Like, you're the third guy that's called me today. And it's like, all right, cool. Well, here's my card. Call me whenever. But the thing is when they put attention on it, when a business owner puts attention on their entire, payment ecosystem is what we refer to it as, not just rates and fees, like their setup, their security, encryption, all that good stuff. Then they start to notice. Like, I'll give you another example. This was in April of 2020, right? This guy, it's a pizza shop in Western PA. He like $1 million a year on credit card. We found out that about 2 years before then, so literally 2 years from when he made the switch, his processor raised his rate by about 0.5%, and he paid it every month. Why? Because he's a busy business owner wearing a bunch of hats and doesn't know, makes a good living, but they took an extra 10 grand from him without him really knowing. And the way that we figured that out was I went through every single statement with him all the way back to when they notified him on his statement, which he does not read because nobody reads their credit card statements, that there was going to be a 50 basis point or 0.5% increase.
Right.
He said to me, he goes, dude, set me up. Like, this is BS. You know, he's all pissed off.
Yeah, they actually do the math over a year's time. They're like, holy
10
crap.
grand.
Yeah.
And it's all because they wanted to and they did. And like, you know, I'll never forget what he said. He goes, man, that's like a vacation that I could have taken my family on. And I'm like, well, maybe you can take them on next year. Like,
yeah, I was just gonna say next year the vacation's on certain. Baby. You know what I'm saying? Let's get you going. That should be your tagline: "Vacations on certain."
Yeah,
right. You know, like something like that. Like, I can't tell you how many entrepreneurs are now able to take a vacation because they switched over to us.
Win
you
a
know?
vacation if you switch.
Dude, it's
to
amazing.
Yeah.
But, and
Buy
it's
them
not-
a vacation, the one that the other processor stole from them. You know.
It's not even just the processing industry. It's everything, man. If you actually look at your statements, you see all these little taxes and fees that don't even make sense, man.
what?
And the guy like you that reads these statements and you can pick up on that, you're like, what in the hell is the internal operations tax? Like, it might as well say owner's kids shoe tax, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? It might as
Yeah.
well say something
The
like that.
Rolex
They just
fee.
created a
Yeah.
tax on you, and you don't read your statements that close. When you look at it, just like, you know, in and out. And
There's
next thing you
transaction
know,
fees,
that's your half a
there's-
point right there.
There's
This new
statement
tax thing.
fees just to
Yeah.
receive your own statement. They're gonna be, you know, there's
Yeah.
there's so many different fees that the other increased fees get lost in all the other fees that you
Right.
already normally pay anyway.
And going back to what I said about the $180 a month, like that's a comfortable margin. And like the way it works is we can get to that margin by a transaction fee, a percentage of sales that we collect. You know, it's usually like 0.5% or something like that.
Right.
And then a monthly fee. And as long as we're above water, we're good.
Yeah.
Right. And then the thing to think about is, like, it doesn't matter what you call it on the statement, but when you see a line item of all these different fees, like the best is miscellaneous fee.
Yeah.
Dude, like, come on. It's like, are you serious? Like,
There it is.
What is that?
They don't even know what it is, so they're like, we don't know what
We'll just
what-
call it miscellaneous.
It's that miscellaneous fee. So that's what we need to start doing for
can we
easier
call it?
accounting.
Just
We've got our
miscellaneous.
normal bookkeeping fee, and then
No,
forgot.
your rate's still $550 a month. We just applied a new tax or a fee.
Miscellaneous
It's
fee.
miscellaneous. Don't worry
Yeah,
about it.
yeah, yeah.
Trevor's
Don't ask.
Trevor's pilot license fee.
Yeah. I've got to get a license. You know, that shit costs money, so it's on you.
How do you expect
know?
me to live my
Like,
best life without
Yeah.
taxing and feeing? You know?
How dare you question me for wanting to live a good life?
Yeah,
You know?
but like to speak to that, this is exactly like that's a scarcity mindset way of looking
Yeah.
at it. Is why not you just go get more customers?
Yeah.
Which is exactly what you guys do.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, the world of entrepreneurship and business is expanding all the time. Totally. I don't care if it's COVID, a recession, whatever the people want to talk about. There are always new people starting businesses that are going to grow,
Yep.
and we can provide services to them and do it fairly, honestly, and give them value, and
Yeah.
we can all make money.
Yeah.
You're right, man. And as much as business does change and evolve, it still stays the same as far as the type of companies that win, that actually operate with core values, like you guys are doing. You're like, dude, this is what we're in the market for. This is what's inspired us. This is why we created Rate Tracker. This is why we're doing all these things to expose these things and go above and beyond for service and all those things, right? And so when companies actually really found themselves on core values and they actually take the approach of exposing the bullshit in the industry and then also doubling down on taking care of people like you guys believe in, those are the type of companies that win.
That win,
So as
yeah.
much as business does change and
And-
evolve, that always wins.
Yeah,
And
sure.
the people that play the long game.
Yeah.
So they're
Absolutely.
doing all the right things,
Yeah.
but also keeping the long game in mind, not playing, let's try
Yeah.
to make a shit ton of money in the first 2, 3, or 4 years
Yeah.
so that we can live a good life. He's keeping, hey, in 5 years, 10 years, I know this thing's going to build. Let's show up every day. Let's do the best we can. Let's stay close to the reason why we originally started. Let's not default and start. Because, again,
Yeah, if you have enough
you-
gratitude for your customers that
Yeah.
helped you create what you have, like
Yeah.
you're not going to go and start gouging
Yeah.
them 2 years later. You know what I mean?
You know, and again, young processors might be 2 years into it and they're sick of making the sacrifice. And then they're like, you know what? I'm going to start adding these fees or this, that, the other. And you guys are, again, continuing to play the long game and you're not shooting yourself in the foot and just merging into what every other company does. You're the outlier of the industry trying to expose the negative sides of an industry that do exist. There's negative sides to any industry. Credit repair companies, there's plenty of shitty ones. That's why they're high risk, right? There's good accounting companies, there's bad accounting companies. There's good processors, bad. That's because there's good people in the world and bad people in the world. And good or bad people don't determine whether you become an entrepreneur. It's just the individual's mindset. And a bad person becomes an entrepreneur. They're looking for ways to line their pockets now. They're not playing the long game. They're trying to get rich today. Those are the ones that end up doing bad things and making bad decisions. The ones that play the long game and continue to show up on a day-to-day basis and keep the core values, the reason why they started, close to heart, those are the ones that end up winning long term. You know, and that's why we've won, you know, in terms of us over the last decade is continuing to try to grow and morph into how can we serve? How can we get better at taking care of people? And when we switch the mindset to just money, 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 to serve, because we know when you do that and you do that well, the money's a byproduct of just doing what you know you should be doing anyways. But the problem is a lot of people go into business for one reason, because they want to get rich. They want to make money. They're not in the industry to serve people. So you went into the industry with the right mindset, with the right heart, right? And your company's foundation is built with purpose. And I believe that's exactly why you're going to end up being very, very successful. In terms of anybody listening, is it just ratetracker.com that somebody would go to?
It's
.io.
ratetracker.io.
Okay, so if you guys want to check it out, go to ratetracker.io.
Yeah, it's free right now, right?
Yep, it's free,
And
for
go
now.
hook it up. You know, it's easy to hook up your bank account. Pretty simple stuff.
Yeah, and
so that they can start tracking it and just see, because it's just fun to know another side of your business that you were confused about.
Well,
because
let it do
you're
the work
making
for
it
you
easy.
too.
That's what I'm saying.
Because when you do start realizing something's not right, dude, you're gonna spend a lot of time and hours going through your freaking statements, trying to figure them out, and trying to audit them yourself, or someone on your team's
let
time.
an app automate
let
it.
this
Just
app do
let
it.
Let it
It's
dumb
brilliant.
it down for you so that
Yeah.
you could see it just on a chart form rather than numbers and
Yeah.
miscellaneous fees and whatever, right?
And like it's interesting because a lot of business owners are athletes or former athletes,
Yeah.
right? And most athletes are visual learners, right? Like I'm a visual learner.
Yeah,
right?
me
I played
too.
football. So
Yeah.
if I can see a graph of everything, it just makes it easier. But here's the cool thing: our salespeople, they each have their own rate tracker link that when they go out and a business owner is like, you know what, I don't want to give you my statements. I don't want to meet with you.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Just download this and check out this website. They, instead of them going back 24 months in statements like I did for that pizza shop guy before Rate Tracker came to life.
Now you hook that up and you've got the information
Yeah,
fast.
salespeople can close deals way quicker. And the cool thing is the way that we connect or can see the bank account is through an API called Plaid. It's the same API that Venmo, Acorns, Robinhood, the big companies use to securely connect. Because that's like one of the I'm trying to think about when I was building this concept in my head and thinking about it and taking it to market. What's the one reason why people wouldn't have an interest besides do nothing, right? A lot of people just say, screw it, I don't want to do anything. The big fear is like, what if I get breached? Like, how is my bank account going to be compromised? Like, no, we can't access or do anything. We can just see your transactions.
Yeah.
And the bank account tells the story. And it's beautiful because money comes in, money comes out, and there's a rate that at the end of the month, when you've paid all your fees and your Trevor Cowley pilot license fee and your miscellaneous fees and all that stuff, it adds up to a number. And that's why I said 95% of our customers fall somewhere between 2 and 3%.
Right.
So
When is it okay to raise your rates, right, in your industry? Because we've done a whole episode on, dude, raise your rates. If you're in demand, you can provide more value. You can provide a better service. You become more skilled in your industry.
That's a good question.
Obviously in this industry, there's a lot of sneaky ways it's being done. But like, hey, if I'm bringing all this extra service to you, and you can justify, and you're upfront with the customer, like, hey man, I'm raising my rates because we're gonna do this, this, and this, and this, or we can keep you doing what you're doing, or whatever. Like, is there a way in your industry, or is it kind of like once that client's on board, they should stick with their rates?
That's a really good question. So the reason why a credit card processing account or a contract has the verbiage in it that states the processor can change the rates is because the fees from the issuing banks and the card brands change frequently. They say it's every April and October, right? Is when the banks and the card brands get together to change. It's called interchange fees, right? Stripe, PayPal, and Square, they do like the 2.9% plus 30 cents. That covers all those fees and then leaves a little bit left for them, so they simplify it.
Gotcha.
And so that's why that's there. There is going to naturally be fluctuations like you saw in that guy's graph.
Yeah.
Dude, I would say it's probably never okay.
Yeah.
I will give you an example though. We early on in Certain Pay, I signed up a 9-location electronics store in Cleveland. They're awesome.
Yeah.
And I just like kind of was I know what I'm doing, but I made a mistake on the pricing, right? So like the first month, we lost like $1,000 because we pay costs on each.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait a minute, that's not right.
Here's a big account. I'm losing money on it.
So
do
when
like
we
$1 million a
told you that Adam is here to serve entrepreneurs, we're not lying. He'll literally lose $1,000 a month.
He'll pay you for
just
processing.
exactly. Yeah. You know what? Yeah, he's gonna pay you $2,000 or $3,000 just to have your account. You know,
it's all about those transactions.
Yeah.
Data. No, I'm just kidding. So dude. Here's the thing though. I called their CFO and I was like, hey, listen, I screwed up on the pricing, and he was like, yeah, I noticed it was like a lot less, and I said, we want to keep the relationship. Can we raise our margin to this amount? And he was like, yeah, that's totally cool. He goes, here's the cool thing though. He said, our previous company let us know that they were doing it. They didn't ask us, and they just put it on our statements. And I was like, okay, well, and he goes, you're onto something. That's cool. And I said, great. So he, that would be a situation like where it's a significant loss, I think.
Sure,
or
yeah.
if somebody,
If you're making money, then you're
Yeah,
good.
Like I told you yesterday.
Yeah.
That's correcting a mistake, you know. But
Yeah,
like,
right.
It's a little bit different.
You know,
I mean, dude, we have some accounts, like we were talking about working with startups yesterday. Like as long as the merchant is taken care of and the salesperson sees value in serving that client too, like our salesperson.
Yeah.
Like I'm good if we make $5 a month. Like I don't really care because the law of averages will always hold true. And yeah, like everybody wants to build a big business and make a ton of money, but I'd rather just serve people and let all the little things take care of the big things, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not going to look at someone and say, we only made $475 on that account. We're going to have to raise their rate by $100 a month. Like, no, that's stupid.
Yeah.
Because all that
You're
does is
confident enough to
you'll
do
grow
your
with them.
business.
Dude, just grow with them.
You know, I value my reputation more than anything, I think. Because that's more important than money.
Yeah.
So
Put
that
money
industry,
aside.
that industry really doesn't have a whole lot of justification to raise rates then.
I mean, I don't think so. Like, I can't really speak to other companies. I know how we set our business up, and like I know like when COVID hit, some of these big companies, they did what you saw in that graph because they were trying to take care of themselves. So like Marshall and I have said that we want to keep our operating expenses at a certain percentage less than our revenue, so that if there is something crazy that happens and small businesses get affected, which would naturally affect our revenue, that we're not going to have to fire employees or lay them off or furlough.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, like as long as we can stay afloat and make some money and pay people and all that, like we're good.
Yeah.
So I would say that I've never been asked that question.
Yeah.
I would say it's probably never okay.
Yeah.
But there might be a couple situations like the one I mentioned where you just have to be
I made a
upfront.
mistake. I got to correct this, right?
Yeah.
That makes sense.
People respect that too.
Yeah.
That guy referred us a nice restaurant group too that we closed like 2 months after that.
Yeah.
Because we just did the right thing.
Yeah. Communicate.
Yeah. It's crazy how that
There's
works.
no
Stay true
line
to
of
your values,
communication.
right.
Usually, it just happens, right? And so that's what made you a little bit different.
For a business doing $1 million a month, that 9 location chain, like, dude, they don't care about paying a little bit more. They just want to make sure that they're taken care of.
Yeah.
And it's really not even. They still have such good pricing. I was looking at their statements not too long ago. I'm like, man, good for them. They're one of the few that are below 2% as well. And they also get inexpensive card types too. A lot of debit cards and a lot of low cost credit cards. So
That's cool.
Yeah.
So let's talk about guys, just so that you understand. Adam, as he's talked about, he was a sales rep for a different processing company for several years, right? What was it, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years?
5 years, 2 months.
Okay,
Yeah.
so 5 years. He exited that company. Obviously he said that he felt like he had a little bit higher of a calling. One thing that I liked about him is he started investing into entrepreneurship groups prior to even being an entrepreneur, okay? So this is something that I think that a lot of you guys need to wrap your heads around. He was starting to take action on the things that he wanted to accomplish without even knowing what he was going to even do yet. He just knew he wanted to be an entrepreneur. He knew he had that calling. He didn't know maybe what industry or what business or whatever it was yet. He thought he walked away from the processing industry for a second and joined a group. You invested how much money into that group without even having a business?
$25K.
So he invested $25,000 to join an entrepreneurship group without even having a business. The funny thing about this is there's 1 million plus different businesses that have income coming in, have revenue coming in, they're doing okay, that wouldn't even invest $25,000 to learn how to operate their business better. You didn't even have a business and you parted with $25,000 just like that. That to me was just it was different.
Yeah.
It was completely. I've never seen it really, to be quite honest with you.
It's confidence, baby.
Yeah, somebody investing $25,000 into an entrepreneurship journey without even knowing what their business is going to be yet. Now here's the cool story about it. He ended up meeting his business partner in that entrepreneurship group. He talked about his business partner being Marshall Lowy. Okay. And Marshall has skinny legs. He never does leg day. So, Marshall, I know you're going to listen to this. And yes, I am talking shit for a minute directly at you. One person I'm communicating to right now. You can kiss my butt, bro.
Shots fired.
Yeah,
dude.
no, me and Marshall have this little friendly banter. I love it. It's fun for me, dude. We
I
really,
read the comments. I get a little kick out of them.
yeah, it's we always
Or when
have
we
it.
bump into him at a gym at an event,
yeah,
or
right,
when we've been in the groups
yeah.
together. It's like
And he's doing leg day, and you're doing curls again.
Yeah.
I
second they walk
arm
into
day
a
every
gym
day,
and they're
baby.
both in there,
Yeah.
it's like,
Yeah. One
Let
who
the
can lift
games
more.
begin.
Yeah, who can lift more and who can talk more
hey,
shit.
brother, hey, you want to max out?
Yeah. How many pull-ups can you do, bro? I can do 35. Well, you beat me there, but let's do legs. I'll beat you, you know. So it's always just a little.
Well, we can have
little-
one plate on each side. Trey will be like, hey, you need a spot?
Yeah. Yeah. I thought you were talking about it at lunch or something. I'm like, I'll take 2 plates in it. If you got one, I'm going to outdo him. You know, so Marshall.
He's a good guy. I'm sure we'll have him on the show
still
one day,
love
too.
you, bro.
Oh, yeah.
I still
Yeah.
love you.
He's the man.
But anyways, so he went into this group. He paid $25,000. Did Marshall have a business concept going into it as well, or did he just invest without having a business too, and then you guys became a partner? Tell us how that happened.
So like in the payments world, like
Yeah.
I was a W-2 employee for this company, right? And he was a 1099, and he had he basically had his own LLC that
Yeah.
you know he could
Little
sign
independent
deals.
contractor or
So like
whatever.
he had his own business, but it was like just him,
Yeah.
right? And it was funny because inside of Apex, right? The group, yeah,
that he
Apex
invested
Entourage,
money in.
yeah,
Yeah.
and executives and all that. Marshall and I were known as like the payments guys.
Yeah.
And so it was awesome because we still are, but like before then we were competing against each other for deals. And I said to him in like, this was January of 2019 when I joined Apex Executives, or at that point it was still called Push to Excellence.
Yeah.
And so like I call him in like March, and I was like, dude, I don't want to fight over deals with you, and I'm trying to like start my own company in the payments world.
Yeah.
Would you like to talk about starting? And then, you know, the rest is history within a month, right?
You want to work together instead of against each other, for sure.
So let me ask you this: what was your original hope? Why did you part with $25,000 without even having a business yet? Like, what were you thinking?
You know what? Here, it's interesting. So
I just want to know what your mindset was, because that had to be tough to let go of that money without fully having a concept of what business you're going to do yet, or if you're going to have partners or this or that or whatever. I mean, there were so many unanswered questions around entrepreneurship or business, but yet you invested a large chunk of money very quickly.
It's kind of interesting that I was pretty successful with that company, and
as a sales rep.
I was the youngest person. This is what I was told. I was the youngest person ever to make the chairman's club. I think I was 27.
He's going to brag for a minute.
Just a little brag.
Yeah, just
Did you
kidding.
get a
No,
plaque?
No, that's
Says that on
I
it?
got a
good for you.
Youngest
I got a
chairman.
blazer. Yeah,
Yeah,
blue blazer.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And so I actually worked really hard for that. Like that's not easy to do and whatever.
course.
But
That's why you had
joined,
$25,000 to invest.
Yeah, right,
Into
partially, yeah.
you know,
Yep.
because you were good at what you did and you were able to make good money.
That was actually right after we bought a house too, and Daniel Blue told me that I could take a loan out of my 401k by doing that, and I did that, and I was able to pay for it because I didn't have the cash.
So you
Crazy.
paid for that group out of a 401k.
Yep. So, at that point, I was a W-2, so it wasn't solo, but I got my solo.
You rolled
with
it
Blue
and then
now,
took
Yeah.
your,
and then what happened there? So then the cool thing was though is my wife and I joined, you know, the baseline level Apex Entourage, right?
Yeah.
Together because we wanted to create a digital marketing agency and like live that laptop lifestyle,
Oh,
travel the world, and
sit on the beach and just
yeah,
make money. Which,
yeah.
cool photo op.
Don't make fun of it, bro. People really do
No,
that.
hey, I
It's
know,
over,
but you know,
yeah.
I mean, like,
Yeah.
you know,
No,
I dreamed of like, you know, hey,
Everybody
People
does.
just don't realize it don't happen overnight.
Yeah.
yeah, you got to work like anything, right? So
Yeah, the picture on the beach with laptops doesn't just happen in 6 months.
you don't see, you don't
I've
see
never
the-
been to a beach with a laptop.
Yeah, why would you?
and we're rich as fuck.
Yeah, why would you?
Why
would you bring a
If I'm
laptop
at the beach, dude, keep the laptop at the beach house, homeboy. You know, unless Austin's with me, you know, then we've got to have a photo op. Hey, Austin, act like I'm working. get this real quick, you know.
So like that was the plan, and then we found out we were having a baby. So she's like, "Well, I'm going to be a mom." I'm like, "All right, cool, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I'll make the money. Let's build our dream life."
Love it.
And in January, literally like the first day of Apex Executives, the fly-in Friday, right? I get an email that the processor I used to work for was forcefully buying out $1,500 a month in residual, which wasn't bad because they multiply it by 30x and they pay you that amount. So I got like 45 G's like before tax, great, cool, everyone's happy. But I wasn't. I didn't want that money. I wanted the residual.
Yeah.
So I realized I'm like, okay, I'm not in control of my own money, and they're screwing my customers. And then it was like a couple months where I was like, all right, I'm out. And then we started Certain Pay from scratch on April 5th, 2019. So like I had it in my head that I wanted to create a business and, do something. I wasn't 100% sure what it was. And actually, dude, at the time, I was so burnt out from payments because like I felt like I was just another like, another cog in the wheel, whatever, like a machine. Yeah. And I just wasn't fulfilled. Like I made over 200 grand in 2018, which is cool. Yeah. But like that's not fulfilling to me. Yeah. Like you can always make more money, but if there's like a deeper mission or a purpose or core values that are attached to it, it makes everything that you do so much more meaningful.
You guys have done a lot of great things in less than 1 year. You got our business.
Yeah, thank you.
We've referred clients to
you.
Thank you. You're going to get a little more of our business too, it sounds like. So, from our conversation before.
We know why you really flew out.
Yeah.
Have millions of dollars in revenue. Yeah.
Nah, dude, I mean, going back though to what I originally talked about, dude, like you can tell that you really are living up to that standard. You're not just lip service, and that's why I was impressed with you from the beginning. That's why it was no problem to say, yeah, I want to do business with that guy. Yeah, because you feel it, dude. Yeah, you feel it in people, and everybody that's listening to this should really try and live that way and operate that way, because that is how you bring in lifelong customers, and that is how you build something great. People can feel that energy if someone's just hustling them to get their business and then raise their rates later, right? Versus somebody that is like, dude, this is our core values. This is where we're gonna stick to, and then you wear it in your energy. So,
what I think is just important to highlight is this individual started just investing into himself heavily, wanting to figure out how to become better, how to become more valuable as a human being, how to start thinking like an entrepreneur. How to who do I surround myself with if I want to be a successful entrepreneur? I don't know, maybe another successful entrepreneur. I don't know, maybe a group of successful entrepreneurs, right? And we get people hitting us up all the time in DMs being like, I don't really have people close to me that are successful. It's so hard to be on this journey because people just don't understand. Yeah. And
you got to go find them.
Yeah, exactly. They're not going to just fucking, you know, Bigfoot doesn't just pop out and say hello. You know, you got to go out and find that dude.
And it's not easy, but you should have the courage to take the step. Like when you are like, oh man, I'm going broke, I'm out of work, I need to do something new. And then you're joining this group where people are driving their Lambos and their Bentleys and their Rolls Royces. Everybody loves their Rolls Royces in that group. You know what I mean? You're kind of like, you feel like the small guy going into the room, you know, and it feels weird. And I've been in that situation many times as well. But dude, I mean, it doesn't take long to level up when you are in that environment.
Bro, it's been a year and a half, almost under 2 years. And now you're operating a company, you know, you're flying around, you're doing business, you're serving other people. And you may not even be to the income level that you were when you were a sales rep, but you're far more fulfilled and you have more purpose on a day-to-day basis that you wake up. And because of those two things, that's why you're going to blow that out of the water within the next 1, 2, 3 years, right? And then next thing you know, you're going to make 2 times, 4 times, 10 times the money that you've ever made before. Fast forward 10 years from now. But what's fueling you now is not the money. It's the purpose of the issues that you're trying to solve. And that gives you a greater sense of why you need to get up and do what you need to do on a day-to-day basis, because if you continue to do that, everything, like I said, will take care of itself, right? The money by default will start coming in as long as you live by those principles, right?
Yeah.
Were you super scared when you went into this entrepreneurship group? Like, did you feel like you were bit off more than you could chew for a second? Were you nervous? Were you excited? Like, even me and Kel investing, I don't know how Kel felt in terms of like the first fly-in Friday when we go and meet everybody. I'm always nervous.
Just my heart is pumping every time I ask a question. And Arte still pumps when I'm like, hey, Ryan, I want to ask a question in front of the whole group. Right? Every time I'm trying to expose myself to this entire group. But that's where the gains happen, man,
so it's like, you know, we've had a lot of success even going into the group, prior to the group. And that doesn't change the feeling of being, nervous or, what if they judge me or this or that, it's just these weird insecurities happen when you're new to a situation. But if you put yourself in those situations over and over, it starts kind of dulling down a little bit, like the second meetup or then the third meetup, and then it's just fine. But like,
dude, I'll tell you what. So to answer your question, the first day, actually when I got that email, like I dressed up. I had like a little a purple button down and my little cute little Michael Kors watch.
Yeah.
Because like
trying to dress the part, you're like, what is everybody else going to look like? I want them to take me serious. So how do I got to look?
I saw some posts in the private group, and it's like these people are talking about signing these huge deals and like real estate flips where they made a few million. It's like, okay, you know what? Like, I want to get to that point someday. I'll tell you what, though. I was scared shitless the first time. The second time, I felt like I was hanging out with my family. Because there's always that, like, initial fear, right? And, like, I'm big on this quote, we suffer more in imagination than in reality, right?
Yeah,
it's all up here, dude.
Yeah.
And you know what? I realized that the really successful people aren't going to look at somebody that's new. And, I was totally making a stretch and a leap. But, like, I feel like to grow as a person and to become the greatest version of myself, like I had to do that because if I was in a room and I was the most successful or the whatever, I'm in the wrong room.
Oh,
like I want to be in a room where I'm uncomfortable to speak because it's going to force me to become better. And that first day I was, and like I still am intimidated by some of the people in there, but I also realized that the ones that are really successful, they would never look at it like that. They would be like, dude, there's people in here that are good people that are growing, and everyone's at different stages in their lives. I look at what you guys built in a decade, and I'm like, I was telling my wife this morning, and I'm like, it's so cool just to be around guys that are like, they get it, they're great dudes, and they're wildly successful. And I was like, that's what we have to look forward to,
Yeah. We don't even really think we're wildly successful.
Well, I do. So.
But again,
well, that's good,
but
we know we have a lot to offer people that are coming up to our level.
Yeah.
But dude, we're looking at the same. Like, that's why we join groups, man.
Yeah.
We're looking at the next level too. We still feel the same intimidation.
We want to be the $20 million company, the $30 million company, not a $12 or $13 million company, right? But when you're in a group and there's somebody that has 2 planes,
I know, right?
It's not 2 chains, people, not the rapper, 2 planes. That's when you know that you're in the right group because it's like, fuck, now we want to get a plane, like if it stretches your vision, right? Like when somebody first becomes an entrepreneur, they have these visions of goals of being successful, but it's not like they're thinking about planes and this, that, the other. And you can get to a certain point where you do $5 million a year in revenue or $10 million and then just get super comfortable. But when you surround yourself with people at a different level, you're like, holy shit, they're playing at a whole different level. There's still more that we could stretch for. And secondly, when a young entrepreneur or somebody that isn't even an entrepreneur investing in themselves, I'll tell you from my perspective and from the success that we've had, I fucking respect the shit out of that person. I'm like, good for them. The people that are highly successful, you don't have to be that intimidated by them because they actually respect you for investing into you, for wanting to grow. And so even if you're not even at the same income level or even not even close, you still have that level of respect because a successful person knows what it takes to be successful, and they're seeing this individual's doing what it takes to be successful, and you got to give that individual credit for, taking a step outside their comfort zone, investing in themselves. That's the type of person that's going to end up making it and making it big, right? The people that aren't, that are just solely focused on just the business, they're going to plateau in business. When they start focusing on themselves and their business, that's when there's just infinite potential, right?
Yeah.
So
I think too, like so much of what we do in our lives are side effects of our own growth and who we are as a person.
Of course.
Like you guys got to where you are today because of a lot of reasons, and I'd say, and I don't want to speak for you, but I would say it's consistency and continuously thinking big. You guys put the work in, and you're like, you guys are just like, all right, let's get this shit done. Here's what we need to do. And what you do now from a day-to-day basis is probably totally different from what back when you started because there's so many more people. Like look at this big office that we're in with all these awesome people.
Yeah.
Like you were telling me today at the gym or whenever that was, like that you just like want to be around good people and help your employees feel like they're home and bring the energy, you know?
Yeah.
Like that's so cool.
Yeah.
Like that's like what an awesome thing, and that's perfect for you because of who you are as a person.
I wish we would have joined some of the things that we've been doing the last few years even sooner.
Way
Dave.
sooner.
Because we went through that, and
Yeah.
most entrepreneurs and sales guys especially go through that where they reach a level they think they're the big shot, you know, and you think I make 150 G, I make 200, I make 250 G, I make 300 G, I'm a big shot, I'm somebody important, and that's dangerous. That's when you are gonna get comfortable, and that's when you're gonna get slapped upside your head. So joining these groups and putting yourself in those rooms with people at much higher levels than you, it does take a little bit of setting aside your ego and willingness and all that stuff. But it's the best thing that you can do, man, because it is.
If you're hanging around a bunch of people who make 50 grand a year and you make 200 grand a year, you already think you're King Tut, you know, or whatever, and that like you've already excelled past all these other people. So you literally celebrate that win and just stay there because you're staying around small minds. But you're the biggest fish in the pond that you swim in. When you start swimming in bigger ponds with bigger fish, you realize that you're a small fish in that pond and you want to grow to be a bigger fish.
You're never really the big shot. And actually, Stuman said it one day, and I was like, dude, that's so true. He's like, you know, the more I learn, the more I know I don't know shit yet.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? I can't remember exactly how he said it, but I was like, that's so true. Like, the more you level up and the more you learn, the more you realize you ain't shit. There's always somebody much bigger or farther along than you are, and you should be trying to push yourself to that level because I just don't like that attitude anymore. And I've been through it, so I can be totally hypocritical and say that you know.
Don't get caught up in it.
Don't get caught up in being the big shot.
Learn from somebody else's mistake, right?
Dude, and like something to think about with Stuman, like he's so successful because, you know, the G code when he practices, like being grateful for what he's got, and he's just hungry for more, and he makes it happen, and like no matter what, he's going to continuously level up, and he's going to be able to stand through tough times, just like all successful entrepreneurs. Because, dude, what have we learned this year? COVID happened. A lot of businesses got rocked. Yeah,
at any time.
So like,
you know?
so you know, you might be kicking ass in your business right now and taking names, right, and making so much money, and then your business is deemed non-essential, and then you're fucked.
Yeah,
right. Then
you're done.
Do you have it up here, and do you have the ability, you know, and the heart to like push through it and keep going, dude? In March, I think it was April, when they shut down the entire country. Yeah, like our business relies on
businesses processing.
Yeah, man. Yeah. We bring home about 1/3% of what we process. Yeah. And we were literally operating at like 20% across the board. Yeah. And now it's, you know, we pushed through that time, and we focused on ways that we could add value to our clients and help them grow. That's why we launched the online ordering platform. And like I look back at that, and I was thinking like, man, I chewed my nails off during that time, and I was freaking the fuck out.
Got a couple gray hairs.
Yeah, just a couple. Right. And and dude, here's the thing, like I'm so grateful for that experience. It sucked, man. Like I was and that was like right after my father-in-law died. It was just such a
lot
shit.
coming at you.
Yeah, it sucked, man. But like looking back on it now, I'm like, man, I learned a lot, and I really think that it's gonna prepare us for the next thing.
Exactly. You're a better entrepreneur because of the struggle that you've had to face. One, this is a lesson to stay lean as a business and always have reserves, because you just don't know what's going to happen. Something will happen to you in your business. Whether it's next week, next month, next year, 5 years from now, something will happen to where you hit the skids or a slow time, or maybe something gets adjusted in your industry. We have a friend in Vegas that has a stem cell company as of March 2021. So here in the next 4 or 5 months, he can no longer do that. And he has built, you know, he's got other services and stuff as well as a doctor, right?
He's scaling and still pushing through it. But yeah, like literally some weird government regulations are trying to just take away one big product of theirs.
One big product.
But who is he as a person? He's gonna figure it out and get through.
He does. Yeah. That's the thing. But what if that was his only service? Yeah. Right? What if he didn't what if he didn't have other things that he could offer people, right? Then he'd be dead in the water, maybe feel defeated or whatever it is. But he's a smart guy, and he knows that there's going to be issues and problems, and you just work through them, right? That's just the way it is. And you get smarter as you deal with more and more problems, because you're like, shit, that hurt. I don't want to deal with that again. How do I create some sort of safety net so I'm sheltered or insulated from this type of incident from ever happening again? boom, something happens, you find the solution, and you're like, okay, I'm going to make sure this never happens again. Whether that's saving more money in the bank and just pulling back on taking dividends or draws or whatever, so that your business is plenty funded, so that you don't have to lay off employees if something gets slow and there's a COVID that nobody saw coming, right? So there's always something around the corner. And the reason why we can't see it is because it's coming around a corner. We can't quite see it yet until it shows its ugly freaking face. And then next thing you know, you're struggling. So insulate yourself from struggle by, again, running a lean company, having money on hand so that you can survive for 6 months if your business doesn't have any revenue. It's almost like what they say for a person, right? Have 6 months on hand or a year on hand so that if anything ever happens, you've got savings, right?
Right. And it's at the end of the day too, like you can always fall back on yourself. I'm very new to the game, right? Like, and I've learned so much. Like, I recognize that it's going to take a lot of time, effort, losses, wins, the shit that happens to get, to a point where I feel like I've not made it, but like I've reached like level 1. I'm still like out of the gate here, and like I really believe that there's a lot of good things to happen. And even with this year, it's taught us so many things.
Yes.
And it's exciting to be like, okay, it's probably almost over. Who knows? Like, I don't really pay attention that much. I'm just focused on
your shit.
Yeah, and like
serving your customers.
Dude, you can always expand.
Yeah.
You can always expand what you're doing. You can find a way to add value to people and create additional revenue streams so that you can stay afloat, right? What's the saying? They say tough times don't last, tough people do.
Yeah.
Dude, there's a lot there, and
absolutely.
Yeah.
It's so true.
Yeah. So let me ask you this, dude. If somebody wanted to get quoted from Certain Pay or whatever, go through underwriting and see if they could save some money, is your first thing to do? Do you say go to Rate Tracker first, or would you say just come to us directly? We can take a look at your statement or whatever. Like, if somebody wants to switch over to you that's listening to this, or at least entertain the conversation, one, they already know they can go to ratetracker.io.
Ratetracker.io. Yep. The Rate Tracker's the tool.
IO is like the new one, bro.
Yeah.
It was like .com, then .co or whatever, all the dots. What's the IO one?
I don't know. The developer was like, "Let's do this." I'm like, "Okay, cool. Sounds good to me, man. Like, you're the expert."
Yeah.
I had someone say that to me just recently too. So you can get that name under .io though.
Yeah, I mean, I think RateTracker.com was taken, and they wanted like $50,000 for it. And I was like, not yet. There's no reason to.
I was just looking at one that was 7 Gs, and I was like, man, I didn't charge that just for a name, right? .io was only 12.
Exactly.
$12, not $7,000.
Yeah.
Buy it now.
While I'm proving the concept, I'll wait to buy that .com.
Exactly. Yep. So it's Rate Tracker is www.ratetracker.io, and then Certain Pay. The best way to get in touch with us there, if you want to see what we can do for you, is www.gocertainpay.com. And you can fill out a little form where it'll go to our team.
Like a lead submission form or whatever, and then their team will reach out.
Yep.
Yeah. It's smooth. We've been through your guys' process, man. It's smooth.
Yeah.
You guys should look them up, especially if you're doing $10, $20, $30, $40, $50,000 a month in volume, because those are the guys that start getting ripped off,
As they climb in revenue, so does the rate.
And you're still not making a lot of money. Someone might be doing 50 G's a month, and they think like, okay, I'm doing okay, but they're only taking home 10 or 15 or whatever the case is.
20% net profit's good though,
Dude, every little,
depending on what you got.
Yeah.
I mean, the other thing about that, so like the guy I mentioned, that's $60K a month. Like, our average merchant account does $35,000 a month, roughly. So a little bit over $1,000 a day. I mean, we can help anybody, and the thing is,
but you also have other ones that are doing $1 million a month,
right.
So
I average, because we have many that do 10. And like we don't discriminate.
Yeah,
we want to help anyone we can that has a growth mindset, and they value what we do. So you look at the guy that I mentioned earlier, the one that his rate got increased by $600 a month, or like a full percent. I mean, that adds up quick, and
it does.
What
advice would you give young entrepreneurs, dude? Like somebody that's kind of new to the game, and you've been playing the game for a few years now. Those are the hardest times in business, is the first couple years as you're making a name for yourself. You're wearing many different hats. You're the sales guy, you're the customer support, your content, all of that. What piece of advice would you give, somebody that's, within their first few years of business?
So it's everybody knows this. It's more than likely not going to happen overnight, right?
It won't. What about that laptop beach money, though,
dude?
dog?
You know what? Never mind. Those are the only ones.
Yeah.
You can start a digital.
Those ones.
The exception to the rule.
You know how many internet marketers out there? They made $1 million in their first month. So many.
Oh,
right?
I know.
They post about it on Instagram.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It's
like
insane.
we're so excited to do like over 10 million in revenue again this year, and then start looking towards 20, and we're like, and then I see these internet phenomenons, and like they do that shit in like a year, and I'm like, man, I worked my whole life to build up what we got,
exactly.
But in the long run, a lot of them don't last either. I've seen a lot of guys
True.
hit it big, live it big, and lose
Fast
it
money
fast.
builds ego.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Slow money builds character.
Exactly. I was just gonna say, like, when it takes time to like blossom and turn into fruition, like you appreciate it so much more.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I was partially kidding about the people that do the $1 million in a month, because there's a lot of people that are just full of shit, right? It's interesting. I've looked at a lot of credit card statements, and there's a few, internet marketers that like they talk a big game, but like when you look under the hood, you're like, you're a little full of shit there, son. Yeah. But my advice here's you're gonna have to sacrifice if you really want to build something of value and big, and that means a lot of different things, like sacrifice time, sacrifice your own money, sometimes your sanity, right? And like, I'm married and have a baby. When's this gonna air, you think?
In a couple weeks, about 2 weeks. So it'll be right around Christmas time.
All right, so we got one on the way too.
Yeah.
I'm allowed to say that.
You can say it
weeks.
now.
Yeah.
There's some other family members that might not know yet or something.
Yep, we're having a baby boy on July 1st, so I'm
The
excited.
niece name lives on.
Yeah, it does, the legacy, right? And so what I would say is this, like, I made a conscious decision, because like everything I do is for my family, right? Like,
Yeah.
I'm sure you guys can relate. And I don't really have much of a social life, because it's, I take care of myself as far as like, staying in shape, and I like to run, and I work, put in the time and the effort for my family, both, my personal family and then my business family, right? That's a lot of people. And then I don't really have time for like a social life.
Yeah,
and that's okay, because I've learned that the thing that really gets me going and very excited is my family and business.
Mm-hmm.
So those are like the two things that I focused on. So instead of like trying to do everything in my life, and I've lost, some friendships that weren't really that meaningful that I know, but like I cut that out because I want to make something of my life. Mm-hmm. So you're going to have to focus and pick a few things that you can dedicate your time to. And I think that when people start businesses, they overlook that, and they think it's going to happen overnight. Like, most
or they
of the
think
time
that they could take the whole crew to the top with them.
Yeah.
It really don't work like that. You have to be so focused on yourself for a period of time and becoming worthy of success. And how you become worthy of success is by molding yourself into a worthy or valuable individual. How can you make mass amounts of money if you're not giving mass amounts of value? Mm-hmm. And how can you give mass amounts of value if you're not always trying to grow personally?
Well,
right?
dude, and the thing is like, if you're making a bunch of money and you're not creating value, like, that's going to catch up.
Yeah.
People are going to realize that, like, oh shit, like, this isn't, I'm going to switch to somewhere else.
Yeah.
I'm going to send my money elsewhere.
Short term.
Sometimes, like, one of my favorite laws of success is always do more than that for which you are paid. Right. Because you could,
I love that one
dude,
too.
like, I'm sure you guys can relate. Early stages, you work a lot for little.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep,
Sure.
yep.
And that's okay, though, because the law of averages, things are going to catch up, right? Mm-hmm. People know
The
what
back
you're doing.
payments are coming.
The social
For all
life,
those
life comes back.
Sure.
It's
It
just
does.
different.
Yeah.
Like, dude, we do business.
Right, and we're friends.
Yeah.
When I came to Cleveland, we went and had fun.
Yeah, that was awesome.
But
Yeah.
we were working at the same time because we're clients of each other,
Right,
you know?
yeah.
And so the social life does come back in a little bit. And you showed us a great time, dude. And he loves his city.
Go Browns.
A lot of people don't know
Yeah.
Cleveland's badass, but only if you're doing it with that.
Yeah. You could say go Browns this year, but
Yeah, we
any
had
other
fun at
year-
the game, you know.
Yeah.
But we were there to work, and we went to an event, and then we also had a little fun together, and so it just comes back a little bit different.
Yeah.
When you're giving up, you are making sacrifices, giving up the club life and all your little homies that are dragging you down. But dude, eventually you're gonna make better connections, you're gonna have better
friends,
time, you're gonna have a cooler
like-minded.
social life,
Yeah.
and still make money doing it. Right?
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, so
Well, the
that's
cool thing about it is like, even if we don't talk to Adam for 4 months or 5 months, and we see him at the entrepreneurship group, or he flies out here and we go golf like we did yesterday, it's a friendship where both parties understand and know that people are operating businesses. They're focused on their life, their family. You don't have to talk every single day or weekly or even monthly. And it could still be the exact same anytime that you meet up. It's not weird or awkward or different because you're like-minded and you guys you understand each other better because you're going through the same shit. Your shit's just maybe a little bit different in terms of the industry, but business is business is business.
Right.
You know, so super cool, dude.
It's a good episode, bro.
Yeah, loved it. Loved it.
There's a lot of value there because this is an area business owners need to understand a little more, bro. And I think you're gonna get
100% of you that own a business should go to ratetracker.io.
Get it hooked up your bank. It takes how long?
It takes a couple minutes.
It takes a couple minutes. I had Corey do ours. So, in fact, our credit union wasn't on the list yet. So I think we got our other one on there. But we'll.
100%
get
of people
credit union on there, dude. We'll get it on all.
100% of people should at least try it, you know, and check it out, and just know for yourself that one of two things will happen. You're going to get peace of mind knowing that you're with somebody that's great, that's honorable, that's operating a business with integrity, or you're going to find just the opposite.
Yeah.
Somebody's gouging you and looking at anything that they could do to throw another fee or this, that, the other, and they're only thinking about themselves. They're not thinking about serving you. So both of those outcomes are great outcomes. Either one, you have the peace of mind knowing that your current processor is a great processor and they have good values because you're watching your rate stay the exact same. Secondly, there's the bad ones that are that are gouging you, and those ones, then you hit up Certain Pay, go to Certain Pay, start getting a new processor that you know is going to be honorable and basically serve you as the entrepreneur. So, you know, we need as many people to service as we possibly can with how hard this game is, and having good accounting on your side or good processing on your side. All this stuff does matter. So make sure that you're taking every angle of your business serious. If you need Adam, make sure you go to gocertainpay.com and fill out the lead submission form and see what you can get done with those guys over there. Good group of people, so they'll take good care of you.
We'll put you in our network part of our website as soon as we launch it.
Cool.
Yeah. We've been slowly working on it. Had our hands full this year, but we're gonna have a really cool part of our website that's our vetted network, dude.
Yeah.
You guys
that's a good idea. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Of course.
So, anywho, dude, we appreciate you flying out, dude. Chopping it up with us and shanking a few golf balls yesterday with us. Dropping a couple BL smoothies down the throat. It's all good. We like to have a little bit of fun here and there, but guys, again, if you enjoyed the episode, make sure that you rate and review the episode, share it with your loved ones. Other than that, I think this is going to air right around Christmas time. If it does, Merry Christmas, and we'll see you next week. So take care.
Take care.